What's the date? 10th? Yes. All right. All right, those of you on Zoom, we're going to I'm going to share the screen and we're going to watch the announcements here briefly. We do have a pretty full class period, so don't want to waste much time if I can avoid it. It's not what I'm looking for. Where did it go? Right there. All right. We have 1, 2 off. That works.
Hello, NC. I'm Colin, and here's the news you need for today. First of all, long time no see. Missed you guys a lot, but I did not forget today is November 10th, National Sesame Street Day. And in the words of the great Grover, love the fur you're in. Now on to the NC News. Seniors and juniors, there's still time to vote for class council officers. Watch and listen to all the candidates' speeches and vote for one candidate per office.
Breaking news, these papers just handed to me, Colin, the student council elections have been moved to next Monday and Tuesday, the 16th and 17th, due to unforeseen circumstances. Again, class council elections will be next Monday and Tuesday, the 16th and 17th. Back to you, Colin.
ACE Mentoring meets Wednesday after school from 3:30 to 4:15. ACE Mentoring is a club for anyone interested in architecture, construction, or engineering. New students are always welcome to join. For more info, go to the Zoom link, join the ACE Remind by texting at 9E6C76 to 81010 or emailing Mr. Sue. Join the North Central Handbell Ringing Club in room K211 with Miss Click today from 2:45 until 3:45. See Miss Click for questions, and there's no prior handbell experience needed. Do not get a parking ticket. Get your permit today. Go to www.nchs.cc and click on the student parking permits. Complete both the forms and send to Miss Fiskler. When they're ready, you'll get them from your first period teacher. Class of 2023, that's the sophomores. At the next personal project early release day, bring your evidence that you've completed your product/outcome to share with your supervisor. If you have questions or concerns, email Ms. Agnew. Finally, don't forget to make your voice heard. The vote for student council ends tonight at midnight. That's all the news today for everyone in North Central. I'm Colin. Have a great day, North Central.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna get going. Once I can get my computer set up here. Todd, can you shut that door, please? I'd appreciate it. Daniel, no more Kyra, no more David. Jordan, Serenity, hi, got your stuff there. Got it in, all right? Betty, stop being non-harmless over there. Ha, joke. All right, Atticus, welcome back to life. And I think we're good. All right, here's what we're going to do. Start off class, the Zoomers out there. We are moving over to the other side of the world again, and we're going to put our focus on Africa for a short bit of time here, and some of the famous kingdoms of during the Middle Ages in Africa. So in order to do that, we got to talk about some basic stuff. I should probably share the screen before I get to that point. And so, for you to get your points today for being present and show me that you're not just staring at your ceiling fan or have your fan off. Seeing a lot of people not on here. Man. All right. You guys got to, some of these kiddos are going to have to explain to their parents why they're doing nothing. All right, here's what I need you to do. There are many, 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 many misconceptions about the continent of Africa. So I want you to put in one wrong stereotype in the chat function. That's your job to do today. We're going to have about a 90-second conversation. Drag it over. So we've got, it is one big country. It's poor. African is a language. Entire continent is starving. Dirt and deserts. It's a country. My camera doesn't work. Well, okay. That's not one. All right. So basically, and we need water everywhere. Yeah. So a lot of misconceptions. Part of that is there used to be this ad campaign where they would, like at late at night, they would show videos about trying to raise money for villages in Africa, but they didn't tell you where the money was going. And then it was a scheme to just take your money. Okay, so when I was a kid, that was on TV after like 11 p.m. every night. It would show. Just it was bad, false advertising is what it was, honestly. Okay, so we're gonna get moving here. You don't necessarily need to write all this down at all. It's just to get you to think, because towards the end, we're gonna get to what our project's gonna be for this week. All right. So, on the screen, couple. Did you know Africa has more countries than any other continent in the entire world? 56 of them. Okay. The Sahara Desert is the size of the United States. Okay, so think about stretching from Washington, D.C. all the way over to Los Angeles, L.A., and you end up with the Sahara Desert is larger than that. Most of the world's gold and diamonds to this day still come from Africa, along with almost all of the material metal products that go into making your sweet little iPhone or your Chromebook. All come from basically areas of the interior of Africa that have mining resources that they don't have in the United States or China or Russia or Iran. Okay, so food for thought there. There are more than 800 languages spoken in the continent of Africa. Yes, it is true that most of those languages come from one parent language known as Bantu, but realistically, there are 800 different languages. And so the stereotype that people can speak Afrikaans, well, first off, that's a separate language. It's a mix of Dutch and Swahili, and they speak that in some parts of South Africa. This idea that one language is so ridiculous because the Europeans completely destroyed ethnic and tribal boundaries in the late 1800s during what's known as the Age of Imperialism, or the partition of Africa, or the scramble for Africa. Okay, so like I said, a little bit of did you know. And again, if you're not writing this down, you're just soaking it in, that's fine. So another thing is, it's important to realize, you took a look at this map here, that the continent of Africa does not have as many major seaports as, let's say, North America, South America, Australia, or China, or India. And that's because they don't have a lot of elevated areas near the coast, which means that shallow water ports result in not being able to have large ports, okay, and have large ships there. You have to dig it out. It costs a lot of money, okay? And so a lack of natural ports and deep water by the ocean causes them to have a disadvantage in world trade. Okay, and most of you are smart enough to figure out that trade is what made the world go round, that and warfare. All right, secondly, the Sahara Desert. Most of you probably didn't realize that the Sahara Desert is the name in Arabic for desert. Okay, so it's the desert desert. Just like, what's that? Yes, the desert desert, okay? Or what was it? The other one I told you guys about the other day, Allah. Okay, they worship Allah. It's like they worship God, because Allah is God, just in a different language. So here's another idiosyncrasy that you probably had not heard of. It's the world's largest desert. Go years without rain. And traversing across the Sahara Desert is extremely difficult. I've had more than a handful of friends who've done camel trips in Morocco, where they take you into the Sahara for one night or for a day. And it is very, very rugged lifestyle and terrain. Did they say anything? I can't hear you. Okay. All right, so moving on here. There are basically two major regions of the continent of Africa. You have the area that's north of the Sahara Desert, called North Africa. This was where a lot of people traversed: the Romans, the Carthaginians, the Egyptians, the Berbers, again, the Moroccans. And then you have the area that is anywhere below the Saharan Desert, and that is known as sub-Saharan Africa. Okay? Anywhere below the Sahara. It may sound like common sense, but in terms of like actually being a global citizen, it's important for you to know this. If someone says in sub-Saharan Africa, at least you in your brain can say, okay, that means below this large desert thing. Okay, if they say North Africa, they're referring to the area above the desert. All right. Next, most of the continent then below the sub-Saharan Africa is an elevated plateau area Okay, if you don't know what a plateau is, that's a high elevated flatland where the coast is relatively, what's the word I'm looking for? Flat. Yeah, flat, 4-letter word. Flat, and then it becomes elevated after you get off the coast, and that makes it difficult again for travel and for herding large animals and for farming as well. In the eastern central part, so modern day Kenya and into Tanzania near Uganda, Rwanda, you have what's known as the Great Rift Valley. These are where some of the largest rivers in the world start. And this is also, if you remember right, from maybe the first or second week of class, this is where the oldest human remain was found. And so the out of Africa theory that the oldest humans left Africa first, this is where it comes from, the Great Rift Valley. Africa has 4 of the largest rivers in the world. Okay, the Nile River being probably the most unique because it runs from, you guys know which way the Nile runs? Which way does the Mississippi River run? North to south. The Nile River runs the opposite direction. It runs from the south to the north. Okay? And it is the longest river in the world. You also have 3 other major rivers that provide much life in terms of population. And that's the Niger, the Congo, and the Zambezi. Niger is in central western Africa. The Congo is in southern central Africa. And then the Zambezi is a little bit north of the current modern day country of South Africa and has Victoria Falls on it. Now, the thing about these rivers is there are a lot of waterfalls. What happens with all these waterfalls? Can any of you make a prediction? Why is it challenging to have these large waterfalls? What can you not do? Jordan? Let them overflow. Okay. Kind of. Yeah. Jada. Boats and stuff. Yeah, it's very difficult to move goods back and forth with large waterfalls. So what do you have to do? You have to build canals around them, or you have to portage, carry your ships and your goods around them. That requires a lot of physical manpower. That hurts large distance trading. Does that make sense? So it allows for groups of people to kind of congregate and create their own family and city-state structures without having a lot of influence from other places. Recently, these rivers that move quickly have been turned into dams, which provide a lot of electricity, hydroelectric dams that are important to the economic structure of many different countries. Here is the Zareba Dam in Zimbabwe and Zambia. All right, so getting closer to the end here, I wanted you to look at this map, okay? Typically, you look at the continent in 4 vegetation zones, okay? You've got, obviously, if you've seen a map before of the continent of Africa, you've got the Sahara Desert, okay? That's in the yellow. You also have desert regions down here in what is down Namibia and some in South Africa, and a little bit in Somalia, okay? And Eritrea. Now, in between there, though, you have an area known as the Sahel, the Savannah, and then the rainforest. Okay, and the majority of the population does not live in the rainforest. That's been the question I've asked all day, and the students have gone, Mr. Burnett, they live in the rainforest. No, it's not ideal to live in a place that rains every day. A lot of disease, and a tropical environment is challenging. But outside of the rainforest in the Savannah and the Sahel, look, that's where the majority of the population is, okay? And you can see that in North Africa, it's like that also, okay? Those are the more desirable places to live. That's where you can farm, create surpluses. There's a lot of resources as well, okay? Now, We're going to take a look at this week 3 African kingdoms. Okay, these are probably in terms of the medieval African kingdoms. There are other ones, but these are the 3 most famous, most popular, and probably added the most to the additions to world history. And that is Ghana, Mali, and Songhai. You'll see that each one subsequently gets larger. Ghana, Mali's in the orange, Mali's in the yellow, Songhai's in the orange, and they will have more and more influence in the world economy also. Okay, take a look. Here's Ghana. Okay, girls that are looking at your screen, Ember, what are you doing over there? What's that? You're what? Hitting on canvas? Oh, okay. Yeah, you also see Mali. Okay, and what I want you to notice when you go back to these is they're nowhere close to the modern day country. The modern day country of Ghana is closer down here to what's called the Bight of Benin. Okay, and closer to the south. Mali is actually this country. It's actually a large country right here in Central Africa, northwest Africa. But here's the kingdom. Notice the Niger River is important for all 3 of them. And then here you have Songhai, which of the 3 extends the most into the Sahara Desert and trades the most and really taxes the warriors and traders that come from North Africa and the Middle East to try to get 2 resources. All 3 of these kingdoms traded 2 resources in particular that are extremely famous in the history of the world. What are they? Off the top of your head, can anyone figure these out? 2 resources that the 3 Sudanic states, sub-Sudanic states of Ghana, Mali, and Songhai traded. Gold is one of them. The other one traded for a higher price per ounce than gold. Your body physically has to have it or else you will die. Salt, which is not naturally found in food, but is a preservative, and it kept people alive. It also helped keep meat preserved so that you could keep meat over a long period of time without having a refrigerator. Okay, everyone understand that? So gold and salt obviously is what made these 3 kingdoms extremely important on a world trading level. All right, so I'm going to stop the slide share here, and we're going to get into your project for this week. All right, I'm going to go ahead and drag it over here to the screen so those of you who are in the room get an opportunity to look at it. And I'll screen share it for everyone else who's out there. So, medieval West African Kingdom travel brochure. So we've looked at America, the Americas during the Middle Ages, looked at Europe, we looked at the Middle East, Islamic caliphates. We have not looked at China yet. We're looking at Africa here for a moment. So I don't know why I have this a little bit out of order, but the due date, just so you guys see this, please. If you get this turned in by Friday, you have a chance to get up to 3 points extra credit. When I say a chance, it has to be done well before I start giving extra credit. You can't slap together a project in 10 minutes and expect to get extra credit. If it's done well and done by Friday, that's when it would be due for extra credit. Anytime next week, Monday through Friday, you can turn in for up to 40 out of 40 points. Anytime after a week from Friday, that'd be when you're on Thanksgiving break, it's 3 points off per day until you get down to 20, and then it'll just be a 50%. Okay. One is you're going to learn how to meet deadlines here and balance other things. Some of you are still going to be working on current events, etc. And so I'm going to take that into account. And I'll probably just do like a couple quick activities Wednesday and Thursday, and you'll have the rest of the period to work on this. Okay. So what you're going to make is you're going to be making a Google Doc or a presentation, depending on what you want to use, in a form of a travel brochure of one of the 3 medieval West African kingdoms. Okay, these 3 kingdoms were thriving empires that influenced trade and culture far outside of their territories. People living beyond the empire's borders would have been familiar with the famous kings and cities, each of these 3 kingdoms, and they would have known just how wealthy they were. All right, so you're trying to get that across to somebody who wants to go there, who may be a 9th or 10th grader, not a 45-year-old adult. Okay, like your parents. You have been hired by the king of one of the 3 medieval West African kingdoms. One of them, not all 3 of them. Okay, so you pick one. Okay, to create this travel brochure, you have textbook pages here. I will put a list of websites here momentarily for you to look at. And make sure your research is about the kingdom you choose and not the modern day country. I put not in bold words. I underlined it and capitalized it, because you'd be shocked how many people will put the flag of Ghana, the country that was created in the 1950s. They'll put their main export, it's automobile parts and bauxite and titanium. That's wrong. That will get you a 0, okay? Ancient kingdom of, empire of, not the country of. Okay, the countries were created by Europeans. Okay, Kimberly, you have your hand up. What's the question?
Is the project worth the 3 points, or is it like a certain amount of points, and then if you turn it in by Friday, it's another 3 extra points?
No, it's up to 3 extra credit points by Friday.
Okay.
So 43 out of 40 would be the highest you can get. So here's a very, 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 very simple rubric to follow when you do this. Name of the kingdom. Pick one. Again, for the 3rd time, not all 3. Time frame. Close. Just approximation of when it started and when it fell. Okay? It's going to go Ghana, and then Ghana was taken over by Mali, and then Mali was eventually taken over by Songhai. Okay? It's pretty much in order, chronological order. Okay? The map, I mean, common sense says I already have a map on Google or on your canvas for you. You can use that one, or you can find your own. A name of and basic description of an important city. Each one had its own capital city that kind of built on traditions of the city that was already there, had a different name. Give us some details about it. That's 8 points. Famous king or leader of that kingdom and description of their accomplishments, 6 points. Okay, if you pick Mali, Mansa Musa is arguably the most wealthy person that ever lived. People will argue because of the amount of gold he had and how gold is still traded to this day in the stock market, and is one of the most precious commodities one can own due to its worth in ounces. Okay. Then 5 other facts about the kingdom or empire. Facts then can be kind of what is interesting. I'm looking for, each one has kind of some kind of different stuff. Like, well, some of you might talk about how the lower class people live versus upper class people. Okay, distinct differences. Some of you might talk about how people worked in the mines. Some of you might talk about how they use tax collectors to get rich by taxing the gold and salt that was traded. Some of you might talk about religion. Islam became very important, okay, especially when Mansa Musa made the Hajj, or the pilgrimage to Mecca. The Islamic University at Timbuktu. Okay, these are all different examples of what you could use. Then you need to have 5 images with a caption. Okay. So I don't want just random pictures. I want a caption saying what it is. So then, okay, if I'm going to actually look at something and be interested in it and maybe say, well, I'm going to shell out 10 grand to do this trip, I want to see I want to know what the heck I'm seeing. Because a trip like this would eventually actually cost a ton of money, whether it was in the year 1200 or the year 2020. Suggestions. If you use Google Slides, should not be more than 4 slides. Any longer, it's not realistic. I'd probably try to do 3. I'll show you a well-done example in a second. Please do not plagiarize. Plagiarizing is copying four or more words in a row from a website. Okay? Yes, most of this information is common knowledge, and I've already said a lot of it, but put it in your own words. Put it in the words that a 9th or 10th grader might understand, not to lean, again, at a scholar, an academician who's has multiple college degrees is going to get. Okay? Thirdly, then, the most difficult aspect of this is the research. So be patient, okay? And certain things like when it fell and when it was started, don't freak out on dates. You can use approximations on that. It's a long time ago. All right. I'm going to show you some decent projects so you have an idea of what you're trying to do. All right, so I'm going to show you, here's kind of a travel brochure on the Songhai Empire, okay? This person tried to sell it. Yes? Yeah. Make sure there's no more than 4 people in there. You're going to go to your left, okay? Sorry about that. Okay, so travel brochure to go see Songhai, largest empire in Africa. I mean, there's a typo there. If you don't capitalize the word Africa, I'm going to take a point off. That's, again, lack of respect for a place, in my opinion. It's a proper noun, like wake up. Okay, this person actually went and joined AP classes after this. That's embarrassing. Leader, how their army was part of their, basically their most important part, Gao, the capital city. Okay, and then some of the food you could get. So daily life and religion. So this was pretty basic. You could probably fit all that on a 2-page or on a piece of paper front and back. If you condensed it, that would be pretty, that's not bad. Okay, let's take a look at ancient kingdom of Ghana. This person was able to get this done in 3 slides. I would like a caption on this first one that we didn't have. But you'll notice very organized, map, leader, battle between the Berbers and the Ghanese people, and a little bit of their history, 5 important facts. Got it all done in 3 slides, pretty organized. Mali, here's another example. You're going to see this one's a little bit more vague. Done, I think, in 5 slides, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 slides, but missing some pictures, no captions here. Okay, this is the most famous map in the world up until the Renaissance in Europe. It's called the Catalan Atlas. You'll see how Mansa Musa is depicted as a man of much gold. Okay, I would expect that Catalan Atlas to be on there. Yeah, I would expect whatever this picture is for us to tell us what it is. Okay, try no paragraphs. Use bullet points. Okay, paragraphs. You know, again, people tend to not read them anyway, so no caption there either. All right. Your task today is to figure out which one you want to research, and then kind of start to map out a format for what you want it to look like. Remember, you also have your intro that you should have had time to do tomorrow. And if you didn't turn in an intro from last week, if you missed the Inca engineering notes, which was look at 5 out of 10 cool things about the Inca, then the link is on the assignment from week 14. Or if you missed the quiz from yesterday, week 14 quiz, you need to take those and send me your scores, and I will get them in the grade book. If you don't send them to me, I'm not going to go in every night and spend 7 hours looking for individual grades, okay? That's not fair to myself or my family. So I appreciate that. All right, is there any other questions from Zoomers? Are there any other questions? What I meant to say? Okay, we're gonna stop the share then. You guys have a fantastic afternoon. Be good people. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you later.